If you're tired of getting beat off the line by your friends in their stock R1s, you need a Power Commander 5 on your bike to squeeze out every ounce of performance you can so you could be the fast guy again. Hey guys, it's Trevor of Dynojet. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do the Power Commander 5 install on this 2020 Yamaha R1. Today we're going to be doing the install of just a primary fuel module, which is going to help you fine-tune the bike with any exhaust or intake modifications that you guys do. The first step in the process today, we're going to go ahead and take off the seat, take off these side panels, and get the tank off the bike so we can start routing our Power Commander. To get the seat off, you're going to have two bolts in the back. You have one on the left side, one on the right side, and be 5mm Allen heads. Once you take those two bolts out, pull the seat back, and it'll pop right off. After removing the seat, you're going to go ahead and remove these two small panels on both sides of the tank. It's going to be a 4mm Allen head, and then you're going to remove this side panel on the left side of the bike to give you access to the ECM that's directly behind it. It's going to be a 5mm Allen head and then a Phillips push pin. After removing the side panels on the bike, you're going to go ahead and start removing the tank. You're going to have a bolt that's in the front of your tank, one bolt on the side, on the left side, and then one bolt on the right side of the bike, which you're going to remove with a 5mm Allen head. After you get those removed, you're going to come to the back of the tank, and you're going to use a 10mm wrench and a 10mm socket and ratchet to get this bolt out. Once you get the bolts out of the tank, you're going to go ahead and prop the front of the tank up, kind of hold it with one arm, or find something you have laying around the garage maybe to kind of help it prop it up. But we're going to go ahead and bring it up and take the two lines off underneath. Then we're going to go ahead and take the fuel line off and an electrical connector for the fuel pump. Once you have the two hoses disconnected in your electrical connector for your fuel pump, the easiest way to get the fuel line off is to get a flathead screwdriver and just pop it up, and it'll pull right off. Once that's disconnected, you go ahead and take the tank, lift it off, and find a safe place for it so nobody dents it. After removing the tank, we're going to go ahead and remove this airbox to give us access to the lower injectors. We're going to go ahead and disconnect this fuel line, disconnect these upper injectors, disconnect this breather, and then disconnect the pair valve, which is on the right side of the airbox. After removing the top of the airbox, the upper injectors, the fuel line to the upper injectors, and this bottom breather, you're going to go ahead and start removing the bottom of the airbox. You're going to start off with the 2 bolts on the outside, which are both going to be 5mm Allen heads. And then there's going to be 6 bolts underneath the velocity stacks inside the airbox that will also need to be removed, which are also 5mm Allen heads. Best way to get to the 6 bolts inside the airbox under the velocity stacks is to use a long 5mm Allen. And we also like to pop these stacks off the bar just to give you a little bit more room to work with. Once you remove the bolts from the bottom of the airbox, you're going to go ahead, pull up on the airbox, and it's going to give you access to your pair valve line. You can go ahead, pop that line off. Pull the box up and back. And then disconnect this connector. Now that you have your airbox completely off, we're going to make our way to the back of the bike. We're going to take this back panel off so we can lay our power commander in the back, and then we'll be routing it to the left side of the bike up towards the engine. Now that back cover's removed, we can start placing the power commander. We're going to place the power commander in the rear of the bike and run it down the left side towards the engine. Once you have the power commander harness routed towards the front of the bike, your first connectors you're going to come across are your fuel injectors. They'll be numbered from left to right, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're going to go ahead and start hooking up your power commander harness, which is the orange wires, to your injector 1, and then so on across the fuel rail. Once you have your fuel injectors hooked up, your next connector is going to be your crank position sensor, which is going to be located on the left side of the bike behind the black boot. You're going to go ahead and route down your power commander harness and then tap in line with that sensor. And then slide the boot back over. Once you have the crank position sensor hooked up, Your next step is going to be to hook up the gear position sensor, which is going to be located just to the right behind the black boot from where you hooked up the crank position sensor. You're going to go ahead and pop it off and then plug in line your Power Commander 5. Once we have the gear position sensor hooked up, our next step is to get to the ECM so we can hook up our TPS connector. We're going to have to take off this black cover, which is held on by Phillips push pin. Once you get that removed, the cover will just pop off. And you have access now to the ECM. You're going to go ahead and unplug the middle connector and locate your number 12 wire, which is going to be a white wire. So with the supplied T-tap with the Power Commander, we're going to go ahead and tap into that wire. Once you have that white wire tapped on the ECM connector, you're going to go ahead and wire down the gray wire from your Power Commander, which is going to be your throttle position sensor wire, and then place that into the supplied tap. And then reconnect the connector on the ECM. And your throttle position sensor is hooked up. Once you have the wire hooked up for the TPS, we can now do the final step of the install process, which is just hooking up your ground. Ground's going to be located on the left side of the bike with multiple other grounds going to it. You're going to go ahead and just pop it off. Put your Power Commander ground right on top. And that's it. The install process of the Power Commander 5 on the 2020 Yamaha R1 is done. Don't forget to check us out at Dynojet.com for more great products for this bike, like secondary fuel modules and ignition modules, which will help you fine-tune this bike even more. Also, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more great content. Take it easy.